Welcome, I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. Pause the video so that you can grab a notepad and a pen because I want you to jot down some sort of action item that you will implement in your business today. Make a commitment to yourself right now that you will do something different in your business to drive your business forward today. SWSWSWSWN. What does this spell? This, in fact, is how you spell persistence. This is how you spell perseverance. How do you spell tenacity? SWSWSWSWN. I think you get the idea. There are a lot of words that are spelled, including Swswswswn. It's actually, of course, an acronym. And what it stands for is the answer to so many questions that you have if you're in sales, if you're in management, if you run your own business. Questions like, will customers buy my products? Will my customers be prepared to pay the price that I need in order to be successful? There's many questions we have like that regarding our business, and the answer is some will, some won't. So what? So who's next? So this is just an easy way for you to remember this little acronym that speaks to the importance of resilience in your organization, for your sales team, for you to be resilient, to be persistent when you are approaching the idea of converting customers, converting leads to customers. And you can't control things that other people do. We've talked about before that you can't motivate other people. Motivation comes from within, but you really understand that you can't control anybody else. You can only control yourself. So this is the way I like to remind myself that I have to double down my efforts when I'm unsatisfied with the conversion of leads to customers. You can't control other people. Will customers buy from me if I do an excellent presentation? Some will. Will customers be willing to buy our products? Some won't. Well, what do we do about that? So what? The idea is it's not that big a deal. The so what is that you can't control. It's a reminder to yourself that you can't control them. And so who's next should always be your attitude, because it's a numbers game. You have to continually move forward, presenting your product, presenting your benefits and features to your target market so that you can hopefully convert more and more customers. It's a numbers game. Some will, some won't. So what? So who's next? This is really useful in times where you're feeling discouraged because maybe you blew a big presentation, you failed to convert a lead that you were just so certain, or you're getting sort of a cold streak where many people in a row have decided not to engage with you in your business and take advantage of the products and service that you offer. And, you know, we all get discouraged. It can become very demoralizing, and you have to look to this. Some will, some won't. So what? So who's next? And just maybe print something out like this. And I'll put a link in the description to just a quick link you can click on, and you can print it off on your printer, frame it in one of those cheap $5 frames, and put it somewhere where you will be reminded of this constantly. Or write it on a sticky note. I don't care. It needs to go somewhere, and by all means teach this to your sales team that you understand that not everybody is going to convert. And the key is we don't know why. So often we think it's something personal. Maybe they don't like us, or maybe that our products or services do not represent good value. But insofar as you've had other customers communicate to you that you have great products and services, that they do represent good value, or that other people are succeeding with competitive products, or maybe you're on a part of a larger sales team and other people are on the sales team, then it's not about the products or service or the value, it's something else. And you don't know what those things are. It could be that it's just bad timing for the person. It could be that they're absolutely going to convert in the future, and there's something they'd rather not discuss with you that's more personal to them as to why they're not converting now. And this is very helpful to remember. Some will, some won't. So what? So who's next? In the meantime, while you're waiting, you can move on. By all means, continue to nurture your leads and try to learn how to overcome objections. Now, there is one peril that you have to avoid here, and that is, how do you spell insanity? SWSWSWSWN. It can also spell insanity. So you have to make sure that you have some sort of evidence of those things that we just spoke about, that you do have value, that you do have products and services that have a place in the market, and that should come through evidence of transactions and through revenue. When you're missing that, we've talked before that there's other things you can go to and where you can spend your time to try to get more and more conversions. Once you have enough leads that you can start to accurately measure conversions and you have a sufficient sample size, then what you do is you compare your results, whether you're on a sales team or you're comparing to someone else, or you are comparing to your history as an organization, as a manager. You can look to those sort of performance metrics to understand whether or not this is just a matter of tenacity and that you need to stay with it and just continue to look for new leads, because the conversions will come. Because sometimes there's sort of a dry spell, and then out of the blue, you just bang, 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 you're closing everything. And that happens in sports as well. Maybe you get up to bat in baseball and you strike out, and then all of a sudden you're on a hot streak and you're hitting everything. You have to consider these things and consider that when you aren't doing well, if you're not converting, that this is practice. But why I said this can also spell insanity is, the old definition of insanity according to Einstein is to continue doing the same things and expect different results. If you have never experienced any sort of success and you're getting feedback that should lead you toward a direction of understanding that you do need to change something, then by all means change something. If you haven't done sufficient preparation in terms of learning how to do a good feature and benefit presentation to your customers, if you don't know your product very well, if you need to put more effort into marketing because you're not getting sufficient leads, again, that's nothing to be discouraged about. That's where you put your effort. This today, what we're talking about, SWSWSWSWN, is when there is no reason to hit the panic button. There is no good reason to fear or to believe that you've got something fundamentally wrong with what you're doing with your products or services or your sales presentation. It's just that the leads aren't converting. So you stick to basics, go back to basics. By all means, try to improve yourself. Try to learn a little bit more about your products or services, learn a little bit more about psychology, practice your skills on overcoming objections, work on role-playing with other stakeholders in your business who understand what it is. Talk to outsiders, people who aren't stakeholders, who you trust, who may be able to give you some feedback as to what other reasons you may want to consider if you are really sure that it's, something personal. So I sort of, maybe I'm talking out both sides of my mouth here a little bit, it may come across, but the main issue is I want to communicate to you that you can't control other people. So to focus on some will, some won't, so what, so who's next, is really a way of maintaining a positive frame of mind and understanding that some things are outside of your control. And insofar as you have a good quality, valuable product or service and you have a reasonable presentation, then stick to it and continue to understand that it's a numbers game and continue to do your presentations. But I'm giving that caveat that perhaps there are other things you can do to improve, and by all means, consider feedback from other people, those who have good reason to give you honest feedback. The other thing I want to add as a footnote to this is that sometimes there are market conditions and things completely beyond your control that skew everything. And this, in 2020, for example, so many government regulations and things that impact how an otherwise market economy should work will really skew the data and make you consider, maybe question whether or not things are working. And especially if you have a new business during that time, it's really difficult for you to understand whether or not, you're going to get good market feedback, because there are things, government incentives and relief packages and these types of things that just completely skew how a market economy should work, and the data is unreliable. So in that case, you have to go with some instincts and some knowledge of what you do know. And there's nothing more you can do as an entrepreneur, as a business person, than try to work on yourself, work on those things which just logically will improve you. It's a very difficult situation, and I would say that you don't want to get stuck in some sort of vicious circle where you try to improve something and you're not getting good conversions, so you change something again, and all along what's happening outside is these outside forces beyond your control that are skewing ordinary market conditions, and the market just won't behave the way it wants. For example, in a labor market, when a government is maybe incenting people to stay home through some maybe otherwise well-intended program where they're giving money to people for not working, and then you're trying to hire somebody, your recruitment efforts aren't working, and you're wondering, is it you? And you're having a real tough time driving your business in conditions like that. That's an example of what I'm talking about. Those aren't market conditions. Those aren't market economy conditions. That's not a free market. And so those things can really skew things and throw you off. So have some discussions. Reach out to a company like ours if you'd like some outside opinion, some professional opinion about how we might be able to help, how you could spend your time and drive your business forward where there might be outside forces that you've never experienced before that are a little bit confusing. The real topic today, though, was perseverance, was in the face of a lack of conversions, in the face of rejection, having a thick skin, having some resilience and some tenacity to keep moving forward. And it all starts by remembering, some will, some won't, so what? So who's next? That's where we're going to leave it today. I'd like to hear from you. Leave a comment about how you deal with adversity in your business, and when you get rejection from your customers. Have you had lulls in your business and really, valleys where you question everything? And what have you done to respond? I want you to leave some kind of comment. We all need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.